Hey there, David Chesworth coming to you for another episode of Health Talk, and I'm here in Hilton Head Health on the beautiful Hilton Head Island, and today we've got a fitness expert that I'm speaking to. His name is Stan Kravchenko. He's from Ukraine, and actually, he's had a passion for sports, exercise, and fitness since the beginning at age 4 doing gymnastics. He's the founder of an online training program called Onefit. He has experience as a celebrity trainer and currently trains Bravo's very own Andy Cohen. He has worked as a top-tier personal trainer at Equinox, and he has worked as a fitness model with the well-known agency Wilhelmina. So, Stan, or Stanny as I see your name there, did I miss anything in the intro that you'd like to get out there?
Everything is great. Thank you. You give me so many credits. I'm like, my heart went up.
You're like, wow.
I mean,
So, well,
I like it though. I like
you
it.
like? Oh, good. Keep it exciting.
Not every time you can hear about yourself.
So. Yeah, that's right. It's good to get a little tap on the ego every now and then, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I wanted to ask you about is your move from Ukraine to the United States. What brought you here, and what led you on this path that you're on?
Moved from Ukraine to United States 2010. I feel like, still that mindset of you back in that time. I mean, hopefully still today is that like, make it, if you make it, I mean, dream America, right? American dream. That's how I say it. Yeah. So I have kind of this American dream, and yeah, I guess it's just opportunity, searching for a better life, more opportunities. So it's all started with that kind of mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
Back in the days, yeah.
I can vicariously relate to that. My wife is from Moldova, which is a neighbor of yours, and she has that same spirit of chasing that American dream, which is really cool to see. I love hearing about those stories, and but we've spoken a little bit before in the past, and I know you didn't start right away as a fitness professional in the United States, even though you've got a background in gymnastics. You came to the United States and you worked other jobs first. Can you speak to that?
Oh my God, how many jobs. So I came in 2010, right? The first job was McDonald's. Mapping the floor. Actually, I started with mapping the floors, and I progressed to Onefit, working in the meat section, and then McDonald's, painting, actually in elder care facilities, painting the rooms, the constructions. I did work in hotel, the cleaning guy. Oh my God, I work security person. I work in a moving company for about 2 or 3 years, and oh my God, I've worked in a bread factory even for like a day.
Oh wow! For one day.
The guy didn't even pay me. Can we I hope he see this bad podcast, huh?
Yeah. If you could only see you now.
Yeah, exactly. So in a bread factory, it was interesting. It was a lot of interesting, and I'm really lucky and happy that I went through, all the jobs, kind of like get some experience from each job, and it was a great run. Yeah, and then I tapped into fitness in 2014. After 4 years, juggling all the jobs and making money. Yeah.
So how did you start in fitness? Did you join a gym, or did you start? What came first? Or did you do the modeling first, the training first? How did that all kind of come into play?
So all comes together in 2014. What happened is my background, right? I was doing gymnastics in Ukraine, and after the gymnastics in Ukraine, I kind of started doing the bodybuilding and men's physique competitions. And when I came to United States, all these 4 years of juggling the jobs, and then 2014 when I went to be security guard at Christian Dior on 57 at Fifth Avenue, and one guy who was VP at that time, he just saw me. He's like, your guns looks good, meaning like a biceps, meaning like my arms looks good.
Yes.
And I have a very good like a suit, a little tight. And I was working out at the time, competing already in men's physique here in the United States, but not thinking about that I'm going to work as a personal trainer. He gives me this idea. Why don't you I mean, he learned about me. He asked me questions. He's like, "Oh my God, you used to do gymnastics and stuff, so you're really into fitness." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm working out. I'm competing here. He's like, "Why don't you pursue the fitness? Like, it seems like it's like your lifestyle anyway." I'm like, "Oh my God, it's a great idea." And he's like, "Yeah, I have a trainer. We can try together if you're willing to come to my building and train me." And I'm like, "I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. I never train people. I train my friends and I work out with my friends, right? But I never had
Sure.
experience of that." Then he's like, you have to go through the process in the United States. You have to go to actually, we have a school for trainers. I'm like, "Can you find out for me?" So he did find out for me the school. There was a NASS, National Academy of Sports and Medicine. So I
Okay.
went to the school, and then my first job, I remember after quitting the Dior, I went to Equinox in the West Village in New York City, Manhattan. I literally Googled it. I Googled it, best club, and I went there, yeah. And I got hired. I'm very happy since that day. Yeah, it's all changed completely. And I started working as a trainer at Equinox. You learn a lot as well as being a trainer there. As they have a good like educational system school for trainers. And I applied for Wilhelmina. Someone also told me this. I'm like, oh my God. So I worked there for a year. Yeah. Was a good experience. It's hard to be.
The modeling agency.
Yeah, it's hard. You have to go through all these castings. You go to 10 castings, maybe get one job. It feels a little bit like people judge you by your look, maybe, oh, you're too big, or you do this, or you're not high enough, or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're going through like this, like a body shape. I can't even say it, stuff like that probably because it's part of my life and it's good. But it does impact so in different ways your mental health and stuff like this. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that's a common thing that a lot of people experience who embark on a fitness journey. There is a body image thing, and it's interesting to hear, someone who has been pretty fit his whole life, has been a model, and is a trainer, also goes through those moments, especially in the context of being judged. You're too
it
big, you're too
happens, yeah.
small, you're too this, you're too that, you're not enough this, you're not enough that, and it kind of gets
Yeah.
in your own head.
I mean, David, you can be a model too.
Oh,
Oh, come
stop
on,
it!
you
You're
know.
making me blush. But no, I think that's well, and I think it also speaks a lot to the diet culture that a lot of people have been through in the past, where they feel like they have to hit a certain number on the scale or get a certain type of physique or a six pack, and if they're not there, then they're not good enough. And I was wondering, well, actually, I think before we go any further on that, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people who are listening right now heard me say at the beginning that you train Andy Cohen, and they're probably just dying to hear about that. So. I know you train him often, and can you tell us a little bit about how you even got started training Andy Cohen and what it's like to have a celebrity client?
Um, Actually, before answering this question, just went to his show, Watch for Happy Life, recently, so that was fun.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, it was good. I like going there.
Yeah.
uh, so it started around 2015, 16. He actually has these books like Indigo and Diarrhea or some he has books, and actually he wrote that all paragraph meeting me there in the book. We met 2015, 2016 because I trained one of his friends, and one of his friends told me, "I'm gonna give you my friend. Maybe you can train him." Sure, I say sure. And the guy comes, and I have no idea that he has like reality TV shows, right? He's a producer. He has his own nightlife show. Like I have no idea completely who he is. I'm from Ukraine. We don't watch America. It's bad. We can watch America, right? So it's like that kind of mentality. And I don't really like no. I don't know Hollywood. I don't know celebrities. No idea. And then he showed up, and I remember our first session was the most memorable session for me because it's kind of like now looking back on this, it's kind of like funny for me in the same way because I texted with him. I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm on the third floor." And I told him like, "I told you to meet me on the second floor." I felt like I maybe was a little bit me in my first conversation, but like I'm maybe getting away because I'm Ukrainian and we like supposed to be like
Straightforward.
straightforward. We told you to see me in second floor. Um, I'm not trying to make fun of all Ukrainians a little bit, but I can do that because I'm Ukrainian.
Absolutely.
So, we had a good session with him. It was really fun. And I asked a question like, oh, so what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, like, I work in TV. So I'm like, okay, he works, I don't know, like backstage. I have no idea. Holding the light, the camera, I had no idea. So we finished session. And I remember when I finished his stretching, I told him, I look into his account. We have ability on Equinox, like an app you can see an account. He pays for session, not paying. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy even didn't pay for session. Like how he's in my schedule. And I mentioned him, can you go downstairs and make sure you pay for my session? I'm not tier 1, I'm tier 3. Okay, just like it's a little bit more pricey. Literally, I say this. He's like, oh yeah, of course. And then he left the session. And next day, I was in the locker room, and one of the trainers come up to me, and he's like, "How did you meet this? How did you know this guy? How does it happen that you train Andy?" I'm like, "You mean the guy from yesterday?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I don't know. Did the friend give it to me?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you know who he is, right?" Stan? I'm like, "No." So then he explained me, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, so he's kind of famous, and I don't know. So let me follow up with a text message. I'm like, hey, it was so nice to see you. Can you come back?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, it was good. And then months later, he's actually came back. He had a trainer at that time. And then it was a really private gym when he used to work out. In the private gyms, small gyms, it's no like community there, no people to see. It's like really one-on-one. Sometimes it's getting like mentally challenging, can be boring. Sometimes you're looking for a scene a little bit, looking people, say hi, interaction. So I think that's what he was looking for. He wanted looking for in being that kind of more open space gym with more people there, right? While he's also in the private. So we was doing like a first year between his trainer on that time and me, and I kind of share details like what they work on it, so I can continue working other parts of muscle. So we was kind of communicating, and then through the time he's like fully transitioned to me, and then yeah, since we started, it was still till today. Saw him last week. Always great time. Yeah.
I absolutely love the innocence of your first interaction with him, how you just had no clue who he was and had a great training session with him, and you found out who he was because he happened to train with you that day.
Yeah, it's thank you though. I just don't want to like I don't want to come out and as the person who's like putting people, oh, he's celebrity, we should, treat him better than anyone else.
Absolutely.
Everyone's is equal, but it does have a little effect on you. You're like, oh my God, really? So, a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's so and I imagine there are a lot of similarities in training him as you would any other client, as I would imagine he has a lot of goals around just staying healthy and fit. But I'm also curious if there's any differences in training a celebrity like that, when they have a lot of events where they're on TV, and you even mentioned for yourself you got to look a certain way. Do you notice when training with him like an added level of pressure from him, or what's it like? How is your training different with him, or is it different with him as it would
Yeah,
be with
correct.
other clients?
Yeah, correct. I mean, let's say with Andy, right, public persona. And sometimes when it's like some big event has to happen, like for example, New Year Eve or BravoCon. So we obviously want him to be in the best shape, right? So maybe he's like, okay, we have a month to this big event where there's gonna be a lot of views, right? You're gonna be big exposure. So we wanna maybe slim down a little bit, lose weight, maybe in that time, try not to drink at all alcohol, your skin looks good, and all this stuff.
Mhm.
So it does affect, it depends on the events he had. So we kind of like adjust our program, and also he comes more frequently at that time. He making more as a priority. His nutrition kind of changed as well. And overall my workout also changed slightly sometimes. My main goal with him to have a very well-rounded program. Like we do strength training, we do some athletic stuff as well. We do warm up, stretching, mobility, flexibility stuff. Um, and emphasizing more on strength training. So maybe when he has some event, he can come frequently. We adding some cardio as well. We adding some other stuff there. So obviously, yeah, his condition, his body, his just overall looks kind of change in a much better, in some better ways. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you kind of have to time some things based on certain events, and depending on the type of event, might
My dog.
determine how you train leading up to it.
Correct. Yeah, and I had the experience with that myself. I'm sorry, my dog is barking.
That's okay.
She's cute. She's protecting me here.
Oh,
And I have experienced myself when I was competing in men's physique, for example, right? You have a certain time, like you have 12 weeks or 6 weeks, 16 weeks for that event, for that specific event when you will be on the stage, all lights in, and you want to be in the best composition body ever. Like you want to be super lean, you want to do muscular and vascular and looks good and haircut even's good. Everything should be good, right? So it's that specific time. So you're kind of timing everything, you're adjusting your nutrition, your workouts toward that event. So it kind of was a similar experience. I kind of bring my experience towards my clients' specific events. But you know, when you work with a gay man, for example, right? It's they always has to be in the top shape because in the summertime, it's a beach time. Even in the winter time, you go to Rio or you go to I don't know Mexico, Zipolite, you go to some beach resort. So it's for gay men. It's kind of like you need to be always in top shape,
so
no
he's
matter the
he's
season.
he's always got a show of some sort.
Yeah, it's some sort of yeah. It's sometimes
Yeah.
in on and off, but most of the time is on. Yeah.
Gotcha. So would you say that, when you mentioned when you did modeling, the things that you had to do like the weeks before that, would you say that those are like sustainable things that
No,
people could do for a long time?
it's so not sustainable. That's the whole thing about modeling. Yeah, it's not sustainable because you want to be in the top shape every time when you go to every all this like uh how you say that events when they look at you. But it's hard. It's hard physically. It's hard mentally. It's just not sustainable and it just hits you, over the time. That's why I'm saying, like, people who follow fitness instructors on Instagram, and one of these instructors are like always ripped. Oh my God, I don't know how they do this. But anyway, it's also not sustainable. A lot of these fitness influencers are using some drugs, some performance boosters that it's basically, and then you're getting infected by this. I'm like, how come I never have the six packs like this guy have all the time, 24/7 on season all the time? Maybe he's using drugs, and this is affects the whole fitness industry because trainers,
Mhm.
you have to explain to the client, listen, this is not your naturally, we're looking for a natural goals. We want to be natural. We want to live healthy. We want to live good life and long life and healthy life. So just disregard all of that what you see sometimes on social media, which is because it's not sustainable. You're not going to be pumping drugs all the time,
Sure.
on,
Yeah.
on yeah.
They might be doing that, or they might be, filming all of their content in bulk when they've done the unsustainable stuff, and then they
Exactly.
only post the stuff that looks good, right?
Exactly. It's funny that you mentioned that because when I was competing, right, in the last week of my best shape ever that I know, what do? You schedule the photo shoot. You take hundreds of pictures and through the year you post them. People
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this guy's always in shape. I'm like in the home right now, I'm eating pizza, ice cream. I have much higher body fats than ever, and I'm gonna be throwback Thursday. Look at me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. And people think that's still what you look like.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So currently, you also have a lot of clients that you train virtually. What are some
Yeah.
pros and cons that you found, training in person versus virtually?
For the past few years, I'm kind of transitioning to virtually. I have in person still and transitioned to virtually. And I kind of bring this concept, combining these words best both together. Because in person, uh, you're doing through the assessment stuff like that, and I kind of brought the concept to virtual as well to have like some sort of consultation call and some sort of assessment. But I will come back to this later. What is the pros and cons about virtual in person? In virtual you don't pay overhead. right? I'm staying home. Like, it's nice. I'm not paying fee of the gym, which is good, which is also means it can be cheaper, right? For the client as well to
Mhm.
buy session with me, let's say, right? Because I'm not paying overhead in the gym. And also it's comfortable. I mean, comfortable for the trainers as well, because I'm at home. I mean, I'm at home. I can be in some different country, right? I can go to Ukraine, not now, but in general, like I can
Yeah.
be in some different country right now, which is comfortable. It's great. I think also you're not dependent on gym hours. You know, like gym hours can some from 8 to 8, whatever they close. Maybe early in the morning. You know, yeah, I don't know. You know, so schedule kind of there too. But the bad stuff about virtual, like not bad stuff, other opposite side that you depend on technology. Like if it's my internet or my earpods gonna fall off, right?
Exactly.
You have this stuff, right? Or internet cuts out, or something happened, right? Or I don't know, China invades us right now, blackout. I don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you kind of depend on technology and around the internet connection. Like my dog can scream right now, right? You just saw that happening. So
Yeah.
there's like pros and cons in each world, I would say.
Yeah.
It's not also in virtual, compared to in person. In virtual, you can give like build the relationship as strong as in person, you know.
Sure.
So
It's more
that's
challenging.
also more challenging. And someone that follows the program virtually, not seeing you every time in the sessions, they have to be pretty like self-motivated people, you know. I actually have
Yeah.
a meeting. I have a virtual assessment yesterday with this guy. He's in the main state, and he he saw my program stuff, and he's like reached out to me, and he told me right away, I'm self-motivated really good. I like virtually, I like following the structure, I like to do check-ins. Like he's like, oh my god, this is a perfect client, right? So he needs to be, or she needs to be kind of a little bit self-motivated, right? Which is, you're saving money because it's virtually,
That makes
but you need
sense.
to be, yeah,
It's a different type of client usually. The more self-motivated client will be successful doing virtually, whereas
more
someone who might need a
successful,
little bit more
more
accountability is probably going to do
correct,
better in
yeah.
person.
Yeah. And you know what happened? I have a client who's in person, say like, I will never be able to do virtual. I'm like, why? I mean, like, I need to have schedule with you so I feel bad that I'm missing the session and you charge me if I don't show up. Like, yeah, that's kind of like accountability right there. And,
It
that's
makes a
what
lot
it
of
is.
sense. What are the most common challenges that the clients that you work with face when it comes to,
In
their
in
fitness
person?
or
In person
virtual? Yeah,
or
the most common, yeah, the most common challenges that you see.
I I think accountability is one of the most common challenges in general for virtually and in person. Accountability to the fitness, accountability to your lifestyle, to your nutrition, to your not drinking, like that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which just takes a lot of from not on my control, So it's a lot on them as well. You kind of that's why personal trainer and coach is a bit different thing. Because when you are a personal trainer, the person comes and you train them in that specific moment. But when you coach, you kind of like want to get more know about them, more about their life, what they do, how they sleep, how many hours they get in sleep, what they eat, how their lifestyle looks like, how the stress looks like. Well, I don't know, you have a stressful job because that also affects your sleep, it affects our workouts, and the whole thing is kind of behavior change. So you kind of like trying to learn as much as possible from the clientele and then educate them in the same way and in a very nice way, very like I will say light progression way. You don't want to throw all this everything on the client and put a lot of pressure on the client, right? You want to like, hey, listen, this is my plan. My plan is you consuming, let's say, 10 glasses of white wine a week. How about we not cutting the wine right now? We're gonna reduce it, let's say to 7, week 1 instead of 10, week 2, 6, week 3. And you little bit by little bit, step by step, you're changing something, right? Not everything. Because sometimes when it happens, when you like go in, you're putting too much pressure on the person and it's not sustainable as well. We talked about this. You want to kind of develop the habit to the client, that is sustainable.
Yeah. And even the changes should be realistic too. So you're not going from, as you said, 10 a week to 0 a week. You're going from 10 to
100%.
maybe
And
7 or 8. Yeah.
yesterday my virtual assessment, I also asked like, what is your actual realistic goal? Like, what is your realistic goal, and how many, or realistically, how many times a week you want to work out? Because some people say like, I want to go right away. We're like, okay, let's start with 2, 3 a week, okay, and then we slowly. And it's good. It's good to ask this question realistic.
One thing that we get a lot of, and I think it's pretty common to see this, is people fall into the trap of like an all or nothing mindset. Like if they can't do it right, why do it at all? Or they're like all on, and then they go on vacation and they're like, all right, I'm off. And then they come back and they're like, all right, I gotta build
Yeah.
my momentum back up. Yeah.
And it happens a lot. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see in your clients that you work with, when people have that all or nothing mindset, when they feel like they fell off the wagon, how do they normally get back on, or what gets them going again?
Um, I guess schedule on my calendar. They see scheduled Stan to work out with him. Yeah, they slowly have to come back. It's very hard to change this behavior and mindset, on and off. I see this a lot. I have a client right now. Is they doing 75 days the of not drinking, everyday cardio, reading the book, like have super like healthy lifestyle. But I say 75 days. What do you do after 75 days? It's good maybe as some sort of introduction to very healthy lifestyle. But also be careful with that, where it's like very like on and off how you say that. I see, it's easy into this to the fitness, not go too crazy, not go too aggressive. Even myself, like I don't work out every single day. I know exactly how I can work out, what is works for me, and I don't want to put unrealistic goals on myself and so much mental pressure on myself to achieve these goals. I'm more about longer games and very short game.
Absolutely. So what is your goal right now?
This is a good question. So I did DEXA scan last week. Yeah, last week. I did last Wednesday DEXA scan. It's a scan for people who doesn't know. DEXA scan, it's actually scan your muscle tissue, your fat tissue, your bone density. And I'm like, so I would really want to know my bone density. And I did VO2 max scan as well last Wednesday. And I want to see results of my VO2 max, which is measure your cardiovascular fitness. It just tells you if just tells you how your lungs, your heart, everything working very sync together. And then it gives you, and which is cool things, it gives me your biological age. So I'm 34 years old. By results in VO2 max I did last week, I was 23 minus 11 years, which is good. And
Cool.
my goal is so I have a tracking some sort of system myself I do right now, right? And then I want to improve my bone density and muscle mass even higher and endurance. So I'm putting myself in a program right now, and I want to see my results in 12 to 16 weeks, how I'm going to achieve that. Because now it kind of like gives me something to work for it. It gives me an event. Like I have an event, DEXA scan in 12 weeks, VO2 max, I have the sort of measurements, I have the numbers, I have the data. And this is what creates some sort of motivation for myself. And I'm not even, I have it here.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's awesome. This is my body, how it looks like, what people want to know. So that was pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah. Did they have that at Equinox, or did you go somewhere else to do that?
No, so DEXA can require like a medical facility because it's a slight radiation there, so it has to be special walls. So I don't feel like fitness facilities have DEXA scan. They have like in body when you go in
Sure.
Equinox, and they measure you by your thumbs and standing on the platform, but it's actually not accurate as medical device.
Right.
So this is
DEXA
like
scan's
one.
the gold standard.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but they do have VO2 max in fitness facilities. You can find it, yeah. I remember when I enrolled Equinox 2014, we did the first my VO2 max. Don't remember the numbers, but this is the second time I've done it. I actually encourage my virtual clients to do, if they can find it, VO2 max, or any sort of like get some data, create some event as a self-motivation purpose as well, and track the progress, how we're doing together. Also like taking pictures, and we can use scale, and we can also see the strength, like numbers, if it's going up. You bench press 100 pounds, maybe you're gonna bench press 150 pounds in six months, whatever. Like more data we have is better for results and
Absolutely.
motivation
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
I agree completely. We talk a lot about that here as having multiple measures of success. In
Oh,
the
I like
context
how you
of
say that. Yeah.
yeah, in the
Okay.
context of where we are, a lot of people can fall into the trap of only caring about the number on the scale or only caring about one specific measure. But usually, the more measures of success you have, a bigger picture you have, and sometimes the number on the scale doesn't change, but your body percent changes really well. Maybe you gained a
Correct.
little bit of muscle and
Yeah.
are carrying more water than you used to, but you lost your percent body fat went down, and maybe your inches are changing, your fitness levels are improving. So yeah, that's really cool. We don't have
Yeah.
a DEXA scan where we are, but we actually we use the InBody, and so we always give that disclaimer, like it's compared to the DEXA scan. It tries to mimic it. It's not the DEXA scan,
Y-
um,
But
but
if you don't even have an option of DEXA scan, I think you should do some sort of like even in body, because it's maybe doesn't give you like that accuracy as a DEXA scan, but it gives you some sort of information in the present, and then you can compare that information later on. So
absolutely,
even in the gym we have where I work right now, we have in body. So I would like, we're not gonna go to DEXA, but let's go in body right now, and then
yeah,
we do the same machine in 12 weeks. Let's see.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, so what recommendations would you give somebody listening who is looking to get started with exercise, but maybe they haven't done it in a while and they're not feeling motivated?
Sign up to Onefit.com.
Sign up to work with a coach.
Do you like this? I'm joking. Uh,
Yeah.
listen,
I
I
love it.
always say, take it easy. Always sort of like easy step in the fitness world, in the health and wellness. Don't be that, like we just talked about, on and off, right, kind of guy. Step
Yeah,
by step, little by little, hire professional. It's always better to start with professional who knows what they're doing. In the beginning, especially, it's the most important thing. Start with someone, invest. It's not a waste of money. You're not spending money on something. It's investing money yourself. It's the best investment you can ever have. Hire the professional, have a plan, learn from professional, and then listen. If financially you're not stable, to continue, but at least you did something in the beginning to build a great foundation for yourself, and then
a great
you
point.
can move on. Yeah.
That's a really good point. It's I love the way you phrase that. It's not working with a trainer, or working with a health professional is not spending money. It's investing in your health, and hopefully you're taking more with you beyond the sessions that you gain from those sessions. Um,
Correct.
yeah, we to build off of what you said, start easy. We kind of have a neat little environment where we are, because people they'll come for a limited amount of time because we're a destination retreat, and then they go home. And so what we notice is the longer people stay here,
Hmm.
the less likely they are to have that all or nothing mindset. So it's almost like when you have a built-in mindset of like, I'm in this for a longer time, they're
Yeah.
more likely to ease into it. So for example, we have a program that's called Lose Well. It's a 4-week minimum
Hmm.
program. And
Okay.
the guests who come for that program, they don't have the same type of like, I got to make sure I do everything today kind of attitude. Whereas we have a 1-week program called Jumpstart, and in that program, it's just such a common behavior we see in our guests where they feel like they have to do every class all day or they're not getting their money's worth, and they got to go here,
Yeah.
they got to go there, and then
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the halfway through the week they're just beat up. So despite our best efforts to
Exactly.
proactively tell them this, they inevitably usually have to realize it for themselves. but it's just, I think the reason I bring that up is because I think when you have a mindset of I'm doing this for the long haul, like you said, like you have
Yeah,
long-term goals, you're
yeah.
more likely to take it realistically, I think.
I 100% agree with me. It's the same like when we went to the Dominican Republic few weeks uh, in June, January, February. Uh, and I went to all-inclusive resort, and it's so much food. I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat all food right now, and then I got sick. I'm like, I got sick. This is that mindset that I'm telling you not to do. I had
Yeah.
that in that moment.
It's
I
human
went through
nature, isn't it?
I went through the whole food, cakes, everything, grapes. Give me more, or drinks for free. Give me drinks, like the
Yeah.
whole thing. But then
Yeah.
you're like, what happened? I got sick, right on vacation now. So I'm like, I have to slow down myself and getting easy, how we just talked about this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. We had a guest here. I think you'll appreciate this. We had a guest who came here once who he came to Hilton Head Health and he goes,
Uh-huh.
I'm in Hilton Head and there's this restaurant I love and I rarely come to Hilton Head, but when I'm there, I gotta go to this restaurant and there's this thing on the menu and I forget what it was, but it wasn't healthy. And he goes, and when I'm here, I have to get it because there's nowhere else that I can get it, so I get it when I'm here. And so our initial
Curious.
reaction was, okay, yeah, that's great. Like it's
Yeah.
it's not a common thing. Like it's a joy in
Yeah.
life. Absolutely, you should enjoy that.
Yeah.
Well, then, but that's not where the conversation ended. He goes, and next week I'm going to Jacksonville. And in Jacksonville,
Okay.
there's this restaurant, and I'm only
Okay.
in Jacksonville once every few months. But when I'm there, and then
Exactly.
the week after, I'm in Charleston, and there's this restaurant. And so it was every week he was going somewhere
Yeah.
that he
Yeah.
doesn't go often.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's like that special occasion isn't really special if it's all the time.
Oh, correct. I totally agree
Yeah.
with you. It's funny.
Yeah.
Now I want to know. Now I need to visit Hilton Head Health.
Yeah, you got to come down here, man. We'd
Yeah.
love to show you
Yeah.
around.
I would love to see it. If I'm there,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna reach out to you.
Please,
Area.
absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
Good.
Stan, it's been awesome having you here today. We'll have to have you back. Maybe next time you're on, we can bring Andy on and he can tell
We
us
can
how
bring
good of a
Andy.
trainer you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. All right.
Yeah. But before we say goodbye today, any final words of wisdom for our listeners today?
Getting easy, my friend. How we say? I guess it's the conclusion of our conversation today. Stay in balance. I will say this way, and everything what you do in your life,
Look,
yes,
stay in balance.
and
Well,
invest in yourself.
ooh, I like that. Stay in balance, invest in yourself. Well, Stan, really appreciate you joining us today. It's been a
David,
pleasure.
thank
Loved
you.
learning more about you, hearing about
Same.
Onefit, hearing about your training style. Yeah, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I had such a good time, David. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And
Cool.
have a good day. Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
All right, thanks again, Stan, for coming. And thank you for watching and listening today. We hope you got a lot of value out of listening to Stan. He got some pretty cool stories coming all the way from Ukraine, training Andy Cohen, training as a model, training for different events, and just talking about how in long term, really what he's focused on is health. He's with himself, with his clients, even with Andy, and how really a lot of those like very restrictive programs are always short-lived, not sustainable. The baseline of what we do is always focused on healthy habits, sustainability, what's realistic for you. So again, hope you got value out of this today. Comment below, reach out to us. What other topics do you want to hear us talk about? Who else would you like to hear us listen to and see us interview? At the end of the day, these podcasts are for you. So again, thanks for coming. We'll see you next time.